65 Days of Horsemanship. I don't know, day 270 something and day 270 something. Might still be in the 60s, not sure. Yesterday I was only able to do Mia. I got a little distracted with other yard stuff that had to be done, and I felt a little bit bad about it. I had a lovely session with Mia, about 45 minutes with her. We had a nice little, we did some touching stuff, we did a plait. I read the energy better and didn't do the second plait, which was good. Noticed that the touching is becoming a little bit overwhelming. And then I planned to go back to Lawrence later and just didn't have the opportunity. Felt really bad about that. Had like a super long day at work today and I'm really tired, and I'm proud of myself because I stuck to the initial premise of this project, which was, if you could only do 5 minutes, go and do 5 minutes, because 5 minutes feels really achievable to me. Like, weirdly, the driving up and the driving back, not a problem, but the actual getting out to feel like I have to do something for a long time is really mentally challenging when I'm tired. But knowing that all I have to do is go over there, do 5 minutes and come back, really like puts me in a mindset where that's like an achievable goal. And I think I I almost didn't come. Like, I was like, oh, I'm too tired, I've worked for so long, like justification. And really had to like fall right back to like the bottom of the barrel to be like, okay, I'm gonna go. And I really feel glad I did. I actually had a really nice session with Lawrence, even though it was really short. I think I feel the frustration because I want like 1,000,000 hours in the day. And especially since being with Elsa in February, I really recognize how the long periods of time are so important to really get the repetitions in and to really make that deep learning. And then coming to terms with the fact that I need to make the commitment to finding those times in my life then makes me feel really frustrated when I don't have those times. And yeah, I think I need to make a more achievable goal in that sense. I need to be like, 1 day a week, or something that's achievable. And the rest of the time it's these shorter sessions, because I just felt really demotivated about the idea that it would even be a shorter session, because like what I want is to have a long session, but like also what I want is to have like 1,000,000 hours in the day and not be tired, and to not have it be like 8 o'clock already and to have to go to work again in the morning and to have dinner and like all of that stuff, And so yeah, it was a really good session today with Lawrence. Actually, I really felt like I actually came up, it started out with scratching, which I knew it would, but I was much better able to recognize the little focus changes, make a pause, and a couple times I was able to come back before it was too late. And a couple of times I didn't, but I was really happy with it overall. And over time, it did get better. And I also feel much more comfortable now with walking around something that I don't like a negative feeling or a level of obsession, because I feel like my mindset is changing, where before I was in this really like punishing mindset, like I'm punishing, like, something bad that's happening, and like therefore I'm making a reaction that's like somehow negative for him. Whereas now I don't see it that way. Now I see it as like, what do I want to train as a result of that? Like I want him to understand that if he pushes into me, that's like him telling me to walk. Like, it's not that I'm walking because I'm mad that he pushed me. It's not like I'm leaving because you pushed me. It's actually like, oh, you pushed me, okay, I have to walk now. And it's like just that different energy about it, where it's like empowering him to train me, and then allowing the situation to mean that he's like, oh, well, I don't want to train her to do that, I better not do that anymore. Like putting it in his court rather than it being like a frustration. And I do believe that the difference is important. Like, I think one of the things that I've definitely felt along the way about sometimes, like in the kind of natural horsemanship world, like PR and marketing makes me feel sometimes like it's trying to sugarcoat like what ultimately ends up being a negatively emotional, like dominant frustration response, and like sugarcoating that with it being like, oh, well, but you're doing it with this in mind or that in mind. And I think like actually been missing is that there really is a difference based on, and I don't want to use the word intention because I think it's body language, but the way that I move, the way that I react, the speed at which I react to my body. And if I'm thinking about, like, you know, sympathetic nervous responses versus parasympathetic nervous responses, fight versus play, flight versus yield, all of those things, it's actually about, like, where is my mindset? Because for me, like, as an extrovert, my intention does impact my body language. And so I think it's like, in that moment, instead of being like, oh, you pushed me, now I have to leave, it's like, oh, you pushed me, you must want me to leave. That is what that cue means. If you behave in this way, I make this response with no, like, negative emotion attached to it. And then when I leave, I'm much more like, oh, cool, we're just doing the thing that we always do. I'm relaxed. I'm not frustrated. I don't feel like he's done something wrong. I don't feel like, because before, if I feel like he's doing something wrong, it's like, then I'm counting every time he does it. And then I'm putting those black marks in a little notebook in my mind against our relationship and being like, well, I must be doing a bad job of training you. I must be doing a bad job of blah, 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 that you're doing this bad behavior. When actually having the concept of it as being like a sort of Pavlovian response, where it's like, this happens and then this happens. And there's no, like, emotion attached to it. There's no, like, necessity to feel urgently about it in any way. I think really changes the way that I move my body, and then that really changes the way that he feels about it, and everything just becomes less stressed. So that was really good. And we actually ended up, I was then able to recognize that everything had settled, and I was then able to put my hand on him and then wait for him to look at me and then take a breath, and then I actually went to see him to say goodbye to leave. And I was super happy with that, because that's always been my worry, like, is that I only ever touch him when I'm scratching him. How do I get from scratching to touching? And today I did it. So I was really pleased, and I was literally with him for like 5 minutes, 7 minutes, something like that, like literally no time at all. And yeah, it was really good. It was really good. And then Mia, I just literally did some distance work with her, and that was funny because I wasn't really feeling much from her. I definitely knew that I didn't want to do any touching stuff because I felt like I'd really not overdone it, but like there'd been a lot of it, and it was overwhelming, and I was really just tired. Like, I put a lot into Lawrence, like surprisingly more than like I anticipated having. Excuse me. And I'd put a lot into her yesterday, so I was okay about it. And then as soon as I went to leave, she was like, oh, I can do a focus change. I can do a category change. I can look up from the grass. We can go for a walk. And so that was kind of nice. And in the end, she started drifting away from me. And I was like, you know, that's fine. I'm leaving. That's cool. We had a nice moment. It's cool. Thank you very much, you know? And yeah, so I was happy with that. It wasn't like the best moment ever to leave it on, but honestly, like, it's fine. I don't think I've taken any money out of the bank account, and everything doesn't have to be perfect every single day. And yeah, so it was good. I just feel happy. I feel really tired, and it's funny, like, I feel like this has been a really positive video, but I didn't actually feel that positive during doing it. But looking back on it, I'm really glad that I came, especially to have that session with Lawrence. And that's really just, again, just encouraged me that, like, you know, the little things do make a difference, and I've got what I've got, and I'm working with it, and I need to be proud of myself for that. So yeah, probably it'll be the same again the next 2 days, because I'm on long shifts again, and then I'm away for a week. And I think that's part of it as well, because I'm going away again. And don't get me wrong, like, I'm really happy, like, I'm going on holiday, you know, like, ridiculous. Like, absolutely ridiculous. But, you know, it's just like missing that consistency with them. And I think knowing that's coming makes it hard to, like, do stuff, because I'm just like, oh, well, what's the point? I'm just going away for a week, which is not the mindset to have at all. And so I'm glad I pushed through that today, and it motivated me to push through that tomorrow and Sunday as well. So yeah.